Thank you for tuning in. This is Investing Insights with Barry Burnett here on Talk Radio 790 KABC. I'm your host, Barry Burnett, and I'm glad you're back because tonight's show is absolutely extraordinary. We've got stuff to present to you all evening that will be extraordinary aha moments. You will get light bulbs flashing in your brain. You'll want to pull over and take notes, but don't worry about it. You can always listen to the podcast, and better still, go to barryburnett.net. You can pick up the show on YouTube at Barry Burnett Radio. You can go to barryburnett.net and tune in to this show and catch the others that you may have missed, because the content is designed for you, the entrepreneurial investor. Those of you who have worked hard all your life, you bought your home, you've bought investment properties, maybe shopping centers, office buildings, maybe just a string of small rental houses, apartment buildings, even industrial parks and shopping centers and high-rise office buildings, anything that you've collected or amassed. This show is designed for you to make your portfolio stronger, safer, smarter. So here on Investing Insights with Barry Burnett, the special that we have for you tonight, the content is going to blow your mind because this is not your average radio home show. This is designed for you, and what we've got to talk about is just mind-boggling for me. It's a new departure for real estate shows. Greg Bodine is here in studio. Greg is a master in the world of charitable giving, and he's done extraordinary research. He's probably one of the top 100 in charitable giving in the United States, based on his research and his 23 years working for an organization which I respect greatly. Greg, you've been with an organization. Why don't you tell me about that?
Well, I work for the Salvation Army. I'm a staff employee, and I've been working for them for 23 years.
Greg, I know the Salvation Army very well. I've been blessed to be able to serve on the advisory board for the Greater Burbank Salvation Army for 17 years. You've got a little deeper passion than that. What are your roots with the Army?
Well, my family goes back 110 years. My great-grandparents immigrated from Norway to New York and New Jersey, and then both sets of grandparents and my parents and several cousins and distant relatives as well. Started all over the world.
All in the Army?
Yes.
Oh, so it's a legacy scenario.
It's a family heritage, yes.
And did you intend that when you were growing up?
No, not at all.
Oh, so it just sort of bit you as things progressed?
Sort of a providential coming together of my background.
Well, outstanding. So you flew in to do this show from Prescott, Arizona.
That's right.
Where you serve the Salvation Army in charitable giving coordination?
My role is called Senior Gift and Estate Planner, which means I help people give.
Okay. And why does that make a difference to this audience, entrepreneurial real estate investors?
Because what I have to share are things that very few people know, but are well established in the law and tradition. It's just not well known, and things that can help people in business that maybe had no interest or inclination that a charitable method or technique can actually help them better, sometimes financially, sometimes with their family, inheritance planning, retirement planning, transition, transactions, the whole bit. It's a lot of surprising, wonderful techniques and approaches.
So there are some surprises coming on this show,
yes.
So don't turn away. This is Investing Insights with Barry Burnett. I'm your host, Barry Burnett, right here on Talk Radio 790 KABC. And there are a lot of aha moments coming up, aren't there, Greg?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you've tuned in. You're an entrepreneurial investor. You own your home and maybe up to 50 different investments. And the likelihood is you've never spent any time thinking about an exit strategy. Now, you may have properties that you love, maybe that you're passionate about, maybe things that you have owned for a long time that are starting to twist you up because maybe they're owning you. Maybe your property management team is as effective. Maybe you're the whole property management team and your wife is asking you, please take me around the world. Show me Europe, show me Asia, show me Australia, and you can't get away. You're that investor and you know you've got plans. You know you've got plans for your heirs and you know you've got desires for charity, but you're stuck. You don't know these answers. Greg, Start doling out some of these answers.
Why don't we start with a story? We had, there's a, right here in Studio City, I talked to one of my colleagues about one of his donor situations, an 85-year-old woman with a 24-unit apartment complex wanted to slow down. And she approached the Salvation Army, and we took her apartment complex and put it into what's called a Charitable Remainder Trust.
Charitable Remainder Trust. Standard, they're used all the time.
Yes, sir.
But if you've never heard of it, let that light bulb go on. Charitable Remainder Trust. Say it to yourself as you're driving and remember it. Okay, Greg, what happened?
So we transferred the apartment complex into a trust, and then she was free of the whole thing.
Okay,
So
but what happened to her?
she got an income matching the internal rate of return from her rental income from the units.
So the Salvation Army and its experts did an internal rate of return analysis to find out how much she was actually making from this apartment building.
That's right.
She gave it to them. They now have given her extraordinary tax benefit, correct?
That's right. Yeah, plus it was fully depreciated. It was in the family for 30 years. So the basis would be next to nothing.
So there were no more tax benefits to be had.
So, and she's kind of late for 1031 exchanges at her age. So.
At 85, she didn't want into another investment by the
Right.
use of an internal revenue code, the 1031 exchange.
Right.
So our listeners are relating to this because if they are anywhere above 60 years old, they're looking at, okay, how long am I going to want to be saddled with this? Am I going to grow my business, or am I going to cut it back? So you're talking about an 85-year-old lady who has turned the property to the Salvation Army through a Charitable Remainder Trust. She's now making exactly the same amount monthly. How long will that happen?
The rest of her life.
Okay, so she's going to get a management-free income and income tax clear.
It's it's considered mostly ordinary income, but then we get into the accounting side of things. But it'll be as good or better than what you had before.
So the income will be taxed as it comes in,
Right.
because it's income, but the capital gains is gone.
Is gone.
Okay, so
Effectively gone.
she's protected herself from hundreds of thousands of dollars of
right.
capital gains.
We call this, some of us call this a capital gains bypass trust.
Okay.
Because it does, if she were to sell that, it would be a terrible hit. It was a $2.5 million property.
Okay,
So,
at least.
yeah. So it by putting in the trust, and because it's going to charity at the end, there are no tax on the sale of the asset inside the trust, and it's tax-free. Any kind of repositioning or reallocation of investments is tax-free inside the trust.
Tax-free inside the trust. Charitable Remainder Trust. This is a tremendous instrument, but you've got a lot more things
Right.
coming up.
Yes.
So you're listening to really excellent aha moments. Hopefully you caught that aha moment. You're going to want to hear it on podcast by going to KABC.com. KABC.com has podcast button. You can listen to this show, all of the shows before it. But on this show, you're going to want to hear these aha moments, because if you have not got a well-structured exit strategy for your investments, you're going to want to know these things. This is Investing Insights with Barry Burnett here on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We will be right back. You're going to want to hear this.